Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a quick little comparison between the OnePlus 9 and the Samsung Galaxy S20. Now, what I can tell you is, first of all, both these phones are great. I like both these phones a lot. But surprisingly, the S20 I've always said was better than the S21. So let's go and see which one is a better phone between both of these. Now, I'll leave both of these linked down below. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see that the Samsung Galaxy S20 is a smaller phone overall than the OnePlus 9. Is that a crazy big deal? Absolutely not. Some people may prefer a bigger size display on the OnePlus 9, or the Samsung Galaxy S20. Like, they both feel roughly around the same. Like, I feel like the OnePlus 9 feels more wider than it feels longer, but they feel roughly around the same. The front of both these are great. You have hole punch displays. The wallpaper on the S20 looks like it doesn't even have a hole punch display, but there is one in the center, top center. 120Hz displays on both. One cool little thing though about the S20 is that it does have a curved display, which I've always preferred. It makes the phone feel that much more expensive. With the OnePlus 9, it has a flat display, but the OnePlus 9 Pro actually does have a curved display, so kind of reinforcing that theory that it is a more expensive feature. But I will definitely tell you hand to hand when I look at both these displays, one doesn't scream to me that it's way more premium, but I think the Galaxy S20 between both of these has a better looking display. I love the S20's display. I still think it's one of the best performing displays on any phone that ever came out. So take it as you will, but that's kind of how I think both these displays hold up. USB Type-C ports on the bottom. In terms of the thinness and thickness between the two, pretty much the same thing going on here. One doesn't really feel that much thicker than the other one. And on the back, we do have glass backs on both with a triple camera setup kind of on both of them too. So there's not really that big of a difference when it comes to both of these. They both feel roughly around the same. I feel like the glass on the OnePlus 9 feels a little bit more expensive, but they feel the same. Wireless charging but we do have reverse wireless charging on the Galaxy S20, which is cool. But even more than that, we do actually have a microSD card slot on the Samsung Galaxy S20, where we don't have one on the OnePlus 9. And I think that in and of itself is a pretty big asset for the Samsung Galaxy S20 for sure. It definitely is one of my favorite features with this phone, without a doubt. So in terms of the outside, that pretty much covers it up. The S20 wins. Now, software-wise, this has always been one of the bigger differences between these two devices. You have One UI on this hand, and you have, obviously Oxygen OS on this side. In my opinion, I think this is the biggest difference in the one way. The OnePlus 9 definitely wins hands down. The software on the OnePlus 9 is going to be giving you a much better experience from every single thing that I've ever tested. With this device, with its type of software, I mean, it's stock. There's a lot of weird stuff going on sometimes, but with that and the 120Hz, thumbs up for me for sure. This is a solid software as well. One UI I think is great too, but I just feel like they have a lot to work on. It's definitely not perfect, and I'm not looking for perfect. I just wish it wasn't so bloated. I wish it didn't have all this like weird stuff going on all over the place. But I don't know. I think some people may actually prefer this type of software, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But software-wise, I feel like in my opinion, the OnePlus 9 definitely wins. But the OnePlus 9 also wins in the battery life department. I feel like the battery life from what I've seen so far is actually better on the OnePlus 9 than the S20. The S20's battery life is still really, really good. I've had exceptionally great battery life on my Samsung Galaxy S20 for sure. So there really isn't that crazy of a difference between these two. So in terms of the overall, software experience and battery life department, I would say the OnePlus 9 is the winner. But the S20 does have reverse wireless charging, which is a really cool feature. The OnePlus 9 doesn't have that capability. So that is kind of an annoyance. Is it a necessity? Not really, but it would have been really cool had this phone had that capability. So I think when it comes down to that, the OnePlus 9, this is where it wins hands down. It may win in some other areas, but the software and the battery life, I feel like the OnePlus 9 is the winner. The Samsung Galaxy S20 is still good, but I feel like this is where the OnePlus 9 wins hands down. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both phones. The S20 had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset with 8GB of RAM, while the OnePlus 9 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset with two different models, an 8GB of RAM option and the 12GB of RAM option. This model does have 8GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, now that we're back, let's get into it. All the apps are cleared out in the background, as you guys can see. Let's go and start loading them up. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And I think about the same. There wasn't that big of a difference. Animation speed-wise, about the same thing too. Messages, 3, 2, 1. I think, there you go. Chrome, 3, 2, 1, or their designated browsers. And I would say roughly about the same. We had a little bit of a different pop-ups on both. Cameras, 3, 2, 1. I think the S20 was a little bit faster there, but there really wasn't that crazy of a difference. Play Stores, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. Swiping through, you can kind of see that both of them do look fairly smooth. I don't think one is necessarily the smoother one between the two. I do like the OnePlus 9. I feel like that is still a very fast phone. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Fruit Ninja 3, 2, 1. And there you go. I think the OnePlus 9 I think was a little bit faster, but we did have different panels on both, so it's not really completely fair. Let's do Facebook 3, 2, 1. About the same, not a big difference. Fruit Ninja, which I've already done. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the OnePlus 9 definitely I think is slightly faster than the Galaxy S20. There we go. We're loaded on the OnePlus 9. The S20 just a little bit behind. Really wasn't that big of a difference. I mean, there was a little bit of a difference, but it really wasn't as big of a difference as you guys may have expected. Gameplay is going to be roughly around the same too, so there's no point in hitting on that for 30 minutes. Snake vs. Blocks 3, 2, 1. I think the Galaxy S20 was a faster one there. It was still extremely close on both, but that was actually pretty surprising. I wasn't expecting to see that type of difference on both of them. Hopping out of this one, let's do both for 3, 2, 1. A little bit of a glitch, I think, on the Galaxy S21. Hopping out of this one, Dropbox 3, 2. I don't even have it. Quizlet 3, 2, 1. And I think there's I don't know if I'm not clicking it in time. I guess we'll see. Twitter 3, 2, 1. There may be just like a slight little glitch when I'm clicking it on the Galaxy S20, which is weird. Netflix 3, 2, 1. The OnePlus 9 is faster. S20 just a little bit behind. And we can do thank you 3, which I don't ever have on any of these phones, which is so weird. So, I mean, I think when it came down to it, I think the S20 is still extremely fast. I think the OnePlus 9 may just be a little bit faster, but there really wasn't that big of a difference between the two. Like, they both were neck and neck. Sometimes the S20 was faster, sometimes the OnePlus 9 was faster, but I don't think, I think overall, the OnePlus 9 is the faster device. As you can see, RAM management is looking to be about the same. But I don't know, I wouldn't go from one of these phones to the other just based off the performance. I feel like both these are very close. RAM management's going to be about the same unless you get the top tier OnePlus 9. And you can see we're getting roughly around the same thing. I think the OnePlus 9 though is probably the faster phone when it came down to it. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. Let's go and hit on the cameras. Now, as I mentioned before, triple camera setups on the back. You have the triple camera wide, telephoto, and ultra wide on the S20. The OnePlus 9 has that wide, ultra wide, and then I guess a color filter camera, whatever they call it. Now, this camera on the Galaxy S20, I've said this before and I'll say it again, this I think was the best camera of last year, the S20 Ultra, but this series of devices were the best cameras. I want you to note one thing first. Look how easy it is for me to zoom in and zoom out. You can see how it's pretty much instantaneous and it's very smooth, right? Even zooming out to the ultra wide, I mean, there's definitely some glitches, but it looks fairly smooth for the most part. Just remember that. But you have 8K capability on this camera. You have that additional telephoto lens the OnePlus 9 doesn't have. But on top of that, you also have the 8K capability. The OnePlus 9 also has it, but you have 4K at 60 on the front. The OnePlus 9 does not have 4K at 60 on the front, it has 1080p. So keep that in mind, you're getting a better camera overall on something like a Galaxy S20 than on something like a OnePlus 9. But I've said this before, I'm not afraid to say it. The OnePlus 9's camera, I think, is pretty good. I think the UI on the OnePlus 9's camera just isn't as good as something like the Galaxy S20's camera. I mean, if you look at them, they look kind of the same. But the One UI camera, I think, is overall better. You have more features built into this camera as well. But another thing, as I mentioned before, just look at the zooming in, zooming out. You can see how choppy it is. Like, it's a very choppy experience compared to One UI. It's just so glitchy. So I don't understand that. Another thing, as I mentioned, you don't have 4K at 60 on the front. You have 8K and 4K at 60 on the back of this phone. But unfortunately, you only have 1080p on the front of this. But overall, photos and everything are going to look great. You're going to be able to take good photos for the most part. But I still think the Galaxy S20's camera from last year is better than even this new OnePlus 9 Hasselblad camera, to be honest. I feel like this camera is so solid and it's probably better than the OnePlus 9's camera as far as I can tell. So when it comes down to that, the S20 is a winner. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you go and buy a OnePlus 9 or should you go and buy a Samsung Galaxy S20? Well, this is pretty much what I'll tell you. I think the Galaxy S20 is still kind of like a more feature-packed phone when it comes down to it. I don't think there's one of these that completely is the best one. I think the main advantages the OnePlus 9 has is the software and maybe a little bit of the battery life, but even that's not that crazy of a difference. I think the software is the bigger difference. Do you want the longer lasting phone with better software? Get the OnePlus 9. It's a little bit faster here and there, but it's not like a crazy amount. I would not go from an S20 to a OnePlus 9 because of the performance. The S20 is a very good deal now. You can get them for less than $500 in a lot of places. And this phone is like a no-brainer to me. It's a very solid phone. If I can change one thing about this phone, or trade one thing about one another, I would rather have this phone with the OnePlus 9 software. But if I can take something from the Galaxy S20 put it here, I wish I could put the Galaxy S20's camera on the OnePlus 9. That would make this phone almost perfect. This camera would be, and this phone would be awesome. You have reverse wireless charging, a 1440p display, a better looking display on this phone arguably than something like a OnePlus 9. But the OnePlus 9, you do have better software, potentially better battery life, and a faster phone here too. You have a longer lasting phone on this device too, but like I said, I think I would rather have something like a Samsung Galaxy S20 than a OnePlus 9 in my opinion. But both these phones are solid. I think both these phones have a lot of capability, and I don't think one is the necessarily craziest winner here, but the fact that the Galaxy S20 is a year old at this point makes this phone a really good value in my opinion, that it's still being compared to devices like the OnePlus 9 that just came out. So I think that's pretty insane in my opinion, but that really pretty much covers it up. Like I mentioned, if you want to pick up either one of these, links will be down in the description. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'd mean so much if you guys get hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.